Yeah. So the first bit of news, I mean, the U.S. It was just announced that the Federal Reserve slashed interest rates by 0.5 point in its first cut since 2020. So there was enough economic news that out there that things were inflation was coming down, the economy was softening enough, especially on the job market side, and the Fed said, okay, now's the time, we need to start cutting rates. The question was it going to be a 1/4 point or a 0.5 point rate cut? It ended up being a half point rate cut, which was pretty significant news and a good, strong, positive statement for moving forward in interest rates coming down, which is great because we started to see that already in mortgage interest rates, but that ended up moving things at that standpoint. It just gives positive economic news, positive news to consumers that, okay, rates are going to start coming down, which should help ease a little bit on the burden, for people and make housing more affordable as mortgage interest rates come down as well.
Yeah, well, and we discussed that a little bit beforehand, the fact that, they come up with these headlines in the news, and being only a journalism major by education, I look at some of these, headlines like, interest rates plunge, or, interest rates are slashed. And it seems like, wow, they're still a lot higher than they were. But as we said, it is a positive sign, and we needed one. So,
yep. The light's at the end of the tunnel from an inflationary standpoint. And what we get into from that is mortgage rates drop to the lowest level since April 2023. And you talked about this just a second ago. Yes, rates are coming down. Slash is kind of an extreme term that was taken from the headline. And the reality is mortgage rates aren't, the Fed announcing isn't what drives the mortgage rates lower. It was all the economic news that came out prior to that, and mortgage interest rates started to drop already. So by the time the Fed announced, mortgage rate interest rates didn't do anything. They actually didn't change. So they're down in about the 6.5% range right now, down from over 8% last year. So we're moving in the right direction. But rates are still high. But the interesting thing is if you wait too long for rates to come down, there's going to be way more buyers in the market. You're going to be competing with a lot of people. So
exactly. So the market gets opened up again. It's a fine line between being able to afford a mortgage and not. So for it to be, yeah.
Well, the funny thing to me, so if the savvy buyers, the savvy investors either already moved into the market when rates were high, or they're moving in now. And a little bit of the interesting component, I mean, it's when do you want to buy a home, right? When there's a lot of people in the market and you're having more or less, you can't negotiate, or do you want fewer people in the market? You want a lower price. You want to be able to negotiate. Well, when rates got higher, you had fewer people in the market. You had softer prices. You had sellers being more willing to negotiate. So that's the time you really want to buy and get in. As rates come down, you're going to have more buyers move into the market, and prices are going to go up, and you're going to have less ability to negotiate. You're going to have to take some of their terms or waive contingencies, things like that. So, rates coming down is going to make the mortgage payment more affordable. It's going to make the price more expensive.
Right. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, if you will. But as we said, it's a welcome step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's funny. It's herd mentality. I talk about this. So back during the pandemic, my craziest offer situation I had during the pandemic was $450,000 over asking price, seller to stay in the home for free for 2 weeks after closing, no inspection period, waive the appraisal component. In other words, if it didn't appraise, they'd bring in the cash to make the deal. And we still didn't get the property, right? Everyone's running check in hand, willing to get rid of all contingencies, going over asking because of herd mentality. It's like, I got to get in there as a lot of people. Then the opposite happens when the market gets slow. Well, nobody else is buying, so why should I buy? Which is exactly the time you want to buy, right? That's when things are softest and you have the most negotiation power.
It's a lot better when you're one making an offer, or maybe 1 out of 3 people instead of 1 out of 30 or 40 parties.
Or, I mean, there's plenty now that I'm not haven't competed on that
You're
we
not
put in
competing on.
offers, and you
Yeah.
can start dictating some of your own terms and more flexible pricing.
Well, it's good to know that that's happening, because I mean, over the years we talk about a buyer's market or a seller's market, and well, hopefully we're going to find that balance again. So,
Yep.